Donald Trump got to see what the world really thought about him when he attended Pope Francis's funeral in Rome. Donald Trump showed up in a blue suit when the dress code was black suit, long black tie. Donald Trump, the only one there wearing a blue suit. You'll see right here French President Emmanuel Macron. You'll see Ukrainian President Zelensky, and you'll see Donald Trump here. Macron only shakes one person's hand. Macron's not going to be doing that silly handshake with Donald Trump at the Pope's funeral. Play this clip. Now, I want to show you this moment. Donald Trump is in this room. The crowd that's there, the people who are attending the funeral of Pope Francis, did not applaud for Donald Trump when he showed up. They largely just ignored him and snubbed him and looked away. But when Zelensky showed up, the crowd gave him a standing ovation. They applauded for him. Watch this moment where Zelensky walks in. You'll hear how Anderson Cooper describes the scene. Let's play the clip.
Of course, it's worth... There's President Zelensky.
There is President Zelensky. Wow.
And wow, his image is being shown on a monitor and that's why you hear people actually applauding now. They're applauding President Zelensky when he appeared on some of the jumbotrons. Most of the people who are...
Now, contrast that to when Donald Trump arrived on scene at the funeral and nobody gave a crap. People looked the other way. It was like they did not want him to be there. All the people were talking about, from what I hear, is why is this guy the only person wearing a blue suit and not following the dress code and showing respect? Here, play this clip.
President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump as well. They were inside the Basilica. Now it looks like they are heading to their seats as well as the funeral mass for Pope Francis is about to begin shortly.
Donald Trump was able to speak to Zelensky at one point while the funeral proceedings were not taking place. Before Donald Trump spoke to Zelensky, when he landed in Rome, he had posted that he thought peace talks were going well. Thereafter, after the funeral proceedings, Donald Trump posted this morning that he does not think that Putin wants a deal. Donald Trump's arbitrary, capricious, reckless social media posting, whether it's about geopolitical affairs, national security, trade wars, domestic economy, health, you name it, is a major, major problem. I'm thinking about what Governor Walz of Minnesota said. Governing is not having some old man wake up and start posting things recklessly that tank the economy and impact so many people's lives. Here's what Donald Trump posted before the funeral proceedings of Pope Francis. Just landed in Rome, a good day in talks and meetings with Russia and Ukraine. They are very close to a deal, and the two sides should now meet at very high levels to, quote, finish it off. Most of the major points are agreed to. Stop the bloodshed now, exclamation point. We will be wherever is necessary to help facilitate the end to this cruel and sensitive war. As I previously reported, Donald Trump had stated that he was having fake communications and negotiations with Xi Jinping of China regarding the trade war that Donald Trump initiated against the world. China's embassy had to make statements. Stop making up fake communications. This is utterly offensive, and you are confusing the world. We're not talking to you. Donald Trump lies about everything, and he seemed to be lying there again. And how do we know? Well, just several hours later, after the funeral proceedings, Donald Trump posts the following. This is like within a few hours of each other. No matter what deal I make with respect to Russia-Ukraine, no matter how good it is, even if it's the greatest deal ever made, the failing New York Times will speak badly of it. Little Peter Baker, the very biased and untalented writer for the Times, followed his editor's demands and wrote that Ukraine should get back territory, including, I suppose, Crimea, and other ridiculous requests. Pause there. Ridiculous request. Crimea belongs to Ukraine. It's Ukrainian. Russia stole it. They annexed it. Why is that a ridiculous request? Again, this is why Donald Trump's haphazard, ridiculous posts are very dangerous. That's what's ridiculous, these posts. Donald Trump then goes, in order to stop the killing that is worse than anything since World War II, why doesn't this lightweight reporter say it was Obama who made it possible for Russia to steal Crimea? You're in charge, Donald. Grow up, be an adult, stop blaming others. You were the one who promised that you would get a peace deal done in Ukraine in 24 hours, or less than 24 hours. You said it was going to be so simple. Now, this past week, we learned from the New York, interview you gave with Time magazine, you now claim that was a joke. You said that when you said you were going to be ending the war in 24 hours, this is a direct quote from Donald Trump, it was in jest. You said nobody should have taken you seriously. Everybody should have known that you were joking, and it was fake news to suggest that you were being serious. That's a direct quote from you, Donald. Then from the same social media post that Donald Trump made, he also says the following. He goes, with all of that being said, there was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas, cities and towns over the last few days. It makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war and he's just tapping me along and has to be dealt with differently through banking and secondary sanctions. Too many people are dying. When you say there was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles, that's who Putin is, Donald. He engaged in an invasion of Ukraine. There's not a both sides to this issue. There's one side, Ukraine, that wants an unconditional ceasefire and peace. There's another side, Russia, that wants to kill everybody in Ukraine, including their innocent civilians. So stop both sidesing this issue, you idiot, you. You want to talk about what your regime was doing? Well, you sent Steve Witkoff again to Russia, the special envoy to Russia. He met with Vladimir Putin again and showed how thankful he was to Russia, how great he thought Russia is. As Roman Shermeta writes, if you kill one person, the CIA will hunt you down across the globe. But if you kill thousands, the U.S. Special Representative Steve Witkoff will come greet you. The day after Russia killed 12 in Kyiv this past week, Witkoff flew to meet Putin with a smiling face, saying, I'm glad to see you. Here is that moment right there.
How are you, Mr. President?
Very interesting. Thank you.
So good to see you. From the embassy. Okay.
So shifting from the funeral of Pope Francis, those really distinguished and humbling ceremonies there, to the United States economy, as Nicholas Brown posts and the Financial Times writes, U.S. stocks are off to its worst start against global peers in more than 30 years. So if we want to talk about former President Biden, we were number one. Under Donald Trump, we are doing the worst in at least 30 years. Do you want to be the best or do you want to be the worst? The best under Biden, the worst under Trump. It doesn't really get more complicated, right? When you are watching the Olympics, someone gets the gold medal, some people don't get medals. In this case, Trump and the U.S. don't get medals. The other countries are beating the U.S. Apollo, not exactly a leftist private equity company. Apollo, the private equity company, goes, consumer sentiment is collapsing. U.S. tourism is collapsing. New orders are collapsing. Cost pressures are up. Freight volumes are down. Trucking volumes are down. I'm not using hyperbolic language when I say collapsing. Apollo, not known for hyperbolic rhetoric, goes collapsing. I'm using their language. How about this article from Bloomberg this weekend? America's market exceptionalism isn't coming back. With the U.S. economic prospects waning, free movement of capital becoming an Achilles heel as investors of all stripes start to flee U.S. assets. That's Bloomberg saying this. The Financial Times wrote a story this morning about how Japan can't even do a trade deal with Trump, which should be pretty easy for them to do a trade deal with Trump because Trump is making up some weird stories about a bowling ball test that he wants Japan to ban. And Donald Trump says that Japan is not importing American cars because of the bowling ball test, where they drop a bowling ball from 20 feet up, and when it breaks the top of the car, they don't order the car, and then they screw over Americans. And Japan's like, we don't do a bowling ball test, Donald. What are you talking about? And Trump's like, well, I need proof of the bowling ball test. It's ridiculous things like that, like demented things, dangerous things. Could you imagine if former President Biden was going, I need a bowling ball test or else I'm not going to do it? Donald Trump's declared a trade war against the world. He's done 0 deals. That's why I call him Zero Deal Donald. As I've said before, he's the worst deal maker in the world. He's not a good deal maker at all. And the world was showing how they felt about him at the funeral of Pope Francis. It's absolutely ridiculous.